So, nag-fall ang ating Z computed, no? This is the 3.043. Anong gagawin natin? No, 3.043 is greater than 2.326. Or, sa madaling salita, Z computed is greater than Z critical. And as you can see on our distribution, nandito siya sa loob ng rejection region. Therefore, we should reject the null hypothesis. Null hypothesis. This will be our decision. Reject natin yung null hypothesis. And kung babalikan natin yung ating hypothesis dito, this will be rejected. Meaning to say, tama yung claim natin. Tama yung claim natin na yung mu or the salary of the deans are greater than 63,000. Okay, so good day everyone. Welcome to our discussion regarding the hypothesis testing, one population, one sample z-test. So again, as part of our recap on our topic regarding the introduction on hypothesis testing, we have the two different populations here, wherein those are one population and two population. For this presentation, we will going to tackle only the one population and one of its subtopic, which is the one sample z-test. Okay, so let's start with the one sample z-test, one population hypothesis testing. When we say one sample z-test, this is actually a statistical for the mean of, or rather a statistical test for the mean of a population and applicable to interval and ratio scale. We use this when the n or the sample size is greater than or equals to 30, or when the population is normally distributed and population standard deviation is known. No, so take note again, greater than or equals to 30. Ayun lang naman yung pinaka one of the most common way para matandaan yung usage ng one sample z-test. So here we have the formula for one sample z-test. Just let me have my ink, black ink. So for the formula, we have here the z equals x bar minus mu over, we have the standard deviation or the population standard deviation over square root of n. This is our first formula for z-test. For the second formula, for the value of z, we have here the x bar minus mu all over s, or s stands for sample standard deviation. Please recap your basic statistics. When we say sigma, small sigma, this is population standard deviation, and letter S stands for sample standard deviation. So all over square root of n. So this will be our second formula. This will be used, this first formula will be used if the given is population standard deviation, and if not, if the given is sample standard deviation, this will be the formula that we're going to use, the second one. Okay, so that is basically the difference between the two. Now, for the assumptions in one sample z-test, we have here the first assumption is that the subjects are randomly selected. Second one, population distribution is normal. So we are assuming that the distribution of the data here is normal. Third one, the population should be known. And fourth, cases of the samples should be independent from each other. And the last one, again, should be sample size should be greater than or equals to 30. Now, we have here an example, and as much as I can, I will try to solve and teach you the very convenient way and the detailed, easiest step-by-step way of solving this type of problems, okay? So as an example, we have here the researcher reports that the average salary of college deans, this must have of college deans is more than 63,000 pesos. So A sample of 35 college deans has a mean salary of 65,700 at alpha level 0.01. Test the claim that the college deans earn more than 63,000 a month. The standard deviation of the population is 5,250. So take note guys that here, as you can see on our first sentence, a researcher reports that the average salary of college deans is more than 63,000. So, meaning to say, there is already a research done regarding this topic. And somehow, gusto nilang itry ulit using their sample of 35 college deans. If totoo ba, no, yung claim nila na college deans are earning more than 63,000 a month using their data. So, given the other parameters here, the average salary, the standard deviation, and the alpha level, let's try to prove or disapprove the claim that the college deans earn more than 63,000 a month. Okay, so first step is, of course, we should have our given. So, let's go back to the problem. First given is more than 63,000. So, average salary, 63,000. Meaning to say, this will be our mu, not x bar. The difference between mu and x bar is that mu is population. Let's write it here. So, mu is population mean, while x bar is sample mean. Okay, since the 63,000 pesos is already a research done and that this is actually based on report, we can consider this now as population mean. Okay, that's why it will be the value of the mu variable. So let's write here for the given, first given, let's have mu, which is 63,000. Okay, next, we have next given. A sample of 35 college dean. So, this 35 college dean will be letter N, 35, our sample size, has a mean salary of 65,700 and that is from the 35 which is a sample. Therefore, the 65,700 will be our sample mean, X bar. Okay, so let's write here X bar 65,700. Next, alpha level 0.01. Let's write it here or on the next steps na lang. Test the claim that the college deans earn more than 63,000 a month. And the standard deviation, ito na po yun, inulit lang, no? The standard deviation of the population is 5,250. Take note guys, population. So this will be small sigma, no? And 5 to 50. Let's write it here. So sigma 5 to 50. Now, next given, next step is to have the hypothesis. And of course, we should identify the claim. Now, for our hypothesis, again, let's have H sub 0 or sometimes H sub O. Anyway, it's just the same. Null hypothesis. So, when we say hypothesis, just like what I have told you before on our introduction, if this is null hypothesis, dapat dito merong equal. No, lagi. Kapag alternative hypothesis, not equals naman. Okay, so meaning, kung babalikan natin, ang sabi nila, test the claim that the college deans earn more than ang ginamit, hindi more than or equal, 63,000. Meaning to say, yung more than na yan na claim, that will be the alternative. Therefore, if that is the alternative, our claim will be yung mu, which is the population mean, is less than or equals 63,000. This will be our null hypothesis. Now, itong statement na to, test the claim that the college deans earn more than 63,000. Again, no, ulitin ko ulit, i-emphasize ko, more than, hindi more than or equal, kaya siya mapupunta siya sa alternative, hindi doon sa null. Okay, so this will be our alternative hypothesis. Mu should be greater than, should be greater than 63,000. And this will be our claim. Always specify your claim dahil dito magbe-based ang ating conclusion later on. Okay? So, next we have the level of significance. So, for the level of significance, it is says here naman na 0.01 ang level of significance natin. So, alpha level 0.01. Next, we have the Z critical value. So, for the Z critical value, since this is a one-tailed test, so one-tailed test, why I had said that this is a one-tailed test? Because there is a direction. It says here that less than or equal, more, greater than, there's a direction. That's why this is a one-tailed test. And the direction is going to the right. You will base your direction doon sa claim, kung ano man yung claim ninyo. And since our claim is the alternative hypothesis, this will be greater than rather 63,000. So nasa right-tailed test ito. One-tailed test and this is actually right-tailed test. Okay? So for the Z critical value, what will be our Z critical value here? Since one-tailed test ito and mention about the direction of the distribution which is going to the right, the Z critical value will be, let's have here our, this one, 0.01, let's check it here, 0.01 na alpha level. Doon tayo titingin sa one-tailed test. By the way, magkadugtong lang ito, up to 35 kasi itong una, and ito, 36 nag-start, no? Magkadugtong lang yan. So, 0.01 tapos one-tailed test. Since there are no any given confidence interval, and hindi naman tayo gagamit nun no, for confidence interval, etong 0.01 na nasa one-tailed test, tigin tayo doon sa infinite, no? 2.326. Meaning, our Z critical value will be 2.326. Check po natin yung values natin dito, no? Again, table P, critical values for students T distribution. Okay? Dahil kapag ang ginamit natin is yung normal distribution, standard normal distribution, wherein it actually starts with 0, if ayun yung gagamitin natin, wala tayong specification, either one-tailed test yon or two-tailed test yon. That's why ito yung gamit nating table for this one. Okay? So, again, 2.326 ang ating Z critical value. So, let's write it here. 2.326. So, next, let's have our one sample Z-test and the decision rule. Okay, for one sample Z-test, let's go back to our previous slide regarding the formula. Since ang given sa atin right now is this one, the population standard deviation. So, our formula that we're going to use is this formula number 1. Okay? So, let's have it here. Z equals x bar minus mu all over the standard deviation divided by the square root of n. So, let's write it here. The x bar value natin, which is 65,700. So, let's write it here. 65,700 minus the mu, which is 63,000. 63,000 over standard deviation, population standard deviation, 5,250. So, 5,250 divided by the square root of n, which is 35. Okay, so 35. I hope you are all aware kung paano ginagamit ang ating scientific calculator. You can actually direct this sa CalQ, no, and it will give us a result of 3.043. Now, what will be our decision rule? Let's have here our standard normal distribution. center again is 0. Since our critical value, sabi natin 2.326. So let's have here 2.326. 2.326. By definition, no, nung ating introduction, is a critical value is a value that separates the rejection region and the non-rejection region. So, here on our right-tailed test, bakit ko pala dito nilagay, hindi sa kabila? Dahil nga, yung ating claim is greater than 63,000. So, going to the right. Now, this will be our rejection region. Meaning to say, if ever na nandyan nag-fall yung ating Z computed or yung Z test natin, which is ito yung value yon. If ever na dyan siya nag-fall, the null hypothesis will be rejected. Again, the null hypothesis will be rejected. Laging null yung point of view natin. Kahit nasaan man sa dalawa yung claim. Either sa null or sa alternative. Sa null, lagi yung point of view when it comes to decision ruling. Okay? Now, since our value of Z-test computed is 3.043, nasaan yun? Let's assume na dito siya, no? 3.043. Let's just delete ang aking nasulat dito, dumulas. Okay? So, ito yun, 3.043. Since dito nag-fall ang ating Z computed, no? This is the 3.043. Anong gagawin natin? No, 3.043 is greater than 2.326. Or, sa madaling salita, Z computed is greater than Z critical. And as you can see on our distribution, nandito siya sa loob ng rejection region. Therefore, we should reject the null hypothesis. Null hypothesis. This will be our decision. Reject natin yung null hypothesis. And kung babalikan natin yung ating hypothesis dito, this will be rejected. Meaning to say, tama yung claim natin. Tama yung claim natin na yung mu or the salary of the deans are greater than 63,000. Therefore, okay to, ang ating magiging conclusion will be, since we reject null hypothesis, we can conclude that there is enough evidence to support the claim that the monthly salary of college deans are more than 63,000 pesos at alpha level 0.01. So why I have specified here the alpha level? Dahil po pwede kasi mag-iba yung mga interpretation natin depende sa significance level na ginagamit natin. If you are using 0.01, 0.05, or 0.1, depending on your alpha level, may possibility na magbago. So the question is, how significant you want your study is? Gaano mo kagustong taas or kababa yung significance level na gagamitin mo sa study. That's why it is also indicated in the conclusion. Okay? So I hope everything is clear with you. Now, let's have our second example. Kung babalikan ninyo yung ating introduction, we have there the different ways on how we solve the hypothesis testing. Some is actually this one, the first example natin, traditional way, using the p-value and of course the confidence interval na method. So this example will be the p-value. We're going to use the p-value here. So let's have our example. A researcher claims that the monthly consumption of coffee per person is more than 19 cups. Take note, no? More than 19 cups. Not more than or equals 19 cups. So basically, 19.1 pataas. In a sample of 60 randomly selected people, the mean monthly consumption was 20. The standard deviation of the sample was 4 cups. Find the p-value of the test. On the basis of the p-value, Is the researcher's claim valid at alpha level 0.01? So, alpha level. This is the symbol, proper symbol for alpha. Paano ba? Ayan. Dumudulas eh. Alpha. Alpha na Greek letter, no? So, next. First, syempre, kailangan natin yung ating given. So, first given. Researcher claims that the monthly consumption of coffee per person is more than 19 cups. So, ito will be the population mean. Kasi nag-claim na sila, may claim na before. So, this will be our mu. So, mu 19 cups. Next, in a sample of 60 randomly selected people, so meaning to say we will going to have n equals 60 here. Okay? And the mean monthly consumption was 20. So, 20. Since this is a sample and not population, naka-indicate naman, we will going to use x bar for this number 20. So, x bar, kasi may population na tayo no, kanina. So, x bar 20. And the standard deviation of the sample was 4 cups. So, standard deviation of the sample standard deviation is letter S. So, 4 cups. Next, meron pa ba? Wala na. Find the p-value. Okay, wala na. Next na step natin is to have the hypothesis. So, H sub 0, H sub 1, null, and alternative. So, we have here the mu. Okay. For the claim, as you can see, is the researcher's claim valid at 0.01? Ano yung claim ulit? The standard deviation of the sample was 4 cups. Find the p-value of the test on the basis of p-value. So, ito yung magiging claim nila. The monthly consumption of coffee per person is more than 19 cups. Ito yung claim. Tignan nyo ulit. More than 19 cups. Dito pa lang sa terminology na yan. That's why kung babalikan ninyo yung introduction, meron ako dun tinurong technique kung paano nyo madaling makikita yung pag-convert ng isang worded problem into a mathematical symbol, greater than, less than, something like that. So, ito, more than 19 cups. So, hindi niya sinabing more than or equals. Therefore, tulad nung kanina, yung claim natin will be under ng alternative, not on the null hypothesis. Okay? So, let's have here more than 19 cups as the alternative hypothesis. This will be the claim. Laging kabaliktaran ng alternative is yung null. Kabaliktaran ng null is alternative. Meaning to say this will be less than or equals. Laging may equal po sa null. 19 cups. Okay, so that will be our hypothesis. Next level of significance, ano yung binigay natin dito? 0.01. So, let's have here alpha level 0.01. Next, one sample z-test. Since ang given sa atin is sample standard deviation, therefore, we will going to use the second formula. Now, this one. Okay, so let's have our our computation here. So, z equals x bar minus mu all over s, or sample standard deviation, divided by the square root of n. X bar is 20 minus mu, which is 19, over s, which is 4, divided by the square root of 60. So, directly compute this in your calculator. It will give you a value of 1.94. Now, ano nang next na gagawin natin dito sa 1.94? Ang actually next step natin is to find the p-value. Ito, find the p-value. Saan siya hahanapin itong p-value natin? So, dito pwede natin gamitin yung table A, standardized normal distribution. Hindi na tulad kanina. Dahil yung kanina, isang gamit natin is tailed test. We have one tailed test there and we have two tailed test there. Wala tayo ngayon na ganun. Kasi ang method natin is yung paggamit ng p-value. Since we have the z-test na 1.94, this 1.94 will be hahanapin natin dito 1.9, 0.04, 1.9 plus 0.04, of course, 1.94. Nasaan yung intersection nila? Ito, 0.4738. Okay, 0.4738. Check natin sa ating graph. Nasaan yan? Let's have here the 0 muna dito. So, 0.4738 is actually from 0 hanggang dito. Kunyari lang, no, dito. Ito yung shaded area na yan. Kaso, hindi ayan yung hinahanap natin. Ang hinahanap natin is the area dito para magkaroon tayo ng rejection region. No? Shade ko, padagdagan natin ng shade. Ayan, itong area na yan. Yung binigay kasi ng ating table is from 0. No? Ganito yung itsura niya. Kunyari, normal yung aking drawing, no? So, 0, 0.4738. Ito yung area na pinibigay. Ang kailangan natin is ito. So, meaning to say, ima-minus pa natin ito. Balikan yung statistics 1. Ima-minus pa natin ito sa 0.5. So, 0.5 minus 0.4738. This will be 0.0262. Or meaning, ito yung magiging p-value natin. 0.0262. Okay? So, itong critical value na nilagay ko dito, ang value nito actually is yung level of significance, which is itong 0.01. So, let's write a label here. 0.01. Ito yung area na sakop niya. Papunta doon. So, ayan, papunta doon. Area na sakop ng alpha natin, 0.01. Now, yung na-compute natin na p-value, which is 0.0262. Write natin dito, 0.0262. Paano ulit nakuha yan? 0.5 minus 0.4738. Ito yung p-value. Nasaan siya? If we were going to have this in the graph or in the distribution, dito siya banda. So, this will be 0.0262. Ayan. Itong sinusulat ko. I'm sorry. 0.262. Ayan. 0.2. I will just delete this. Typo error tayo. Okay. .0262. Now, ito naman, since this is probability, di ba, p-value probability, ayan naman yung area na sakop niya. Papunta doon. Ayan, 0.0262. Now, what will be our decision? Di ba, sabi natin, once na yung computed is nag-fall dito sa loob ng rejection region, we will going to reject the null hypothesis. But since, as you can see, we are talking here about area, not a specific value tulad sa kanina. Itong area na yan, mas nasakop niya yung rejection region compared sa nasakop siya ng rejection region. Mas malawak kasi yung sakop nito. No, kumbaga para paganyan siya eh. Ayan. Sakop niya yung rejection region. Hindi siya yung sinakop ng rejection region. Tandaan niyo yan. Meaning to say, we actually fail to reject null hypothesis. So, decision, fail to reject null hypothesis. Again, we don't have such thing as accept null hypothesis. Though, no, sa English, fail to reject, meaning accept. Mas statistically na acceptable yung term na fail to reject since we don't really accept the null hypothesis. Okay, so fail to reject null hypothesis. And since that is our decision, therefore, our conclusion, since we fail to reject the null hypothesis, we can conclude that the monthly consumption of coffee per person is not more than 19 cups. So, hindi umaangat ng 19 cups monthly consumption at alpha level 0.01. Balikan natin yung hypothesis. Fail to reject null hypothesis. So, meaning, parang sinasabing tama ito mali. Mali yung claim natin na umaangat daw ng 19, statistically speaking. Dahil, ang average lang is less than or equals to 19. That's why yung conclusion natin, we can conclude that the monthly consumption of coffee per person is not more than 19 cups. Again, at alpha level 0.01. It can have a different impact, a different conclusion if we use different significance level. Okay, so that ends up our discussion regarding the one sample z-test under the topic hypothesis testing of one population. So I hope you learned something from this discussion, guys, dahil may mga connection pa ito. Lahat ng mga topics, especially in mathematics subjects, are all connected. So don't forget to have a note for this one, and I hope you really learned something from this discussion. So keep safe always, and see you on our next presentation. Goodbye, enjoy the rest of the day, and enjoy the rest of the week. Bye-bye.